She was just a wonderful person, smart person. Wish she was here, to celebrate her birthday. But, God saw fit to take her home. She was a good child, all A's, all through school.
She was a perfect child, what any mother would imagine to have. She was a smart, intelligent, going to college. She was anything what a woman would have.
Some crimes demand justice. Others demand an explanation. But then there are crimes so gut-wrenching, so reckless and inhumane, they make you question whether justice even matters, because by the time it comes, if it comes at all, the damage is already done. That's the story of 21-year-old Celeste Macdonald, a name you're about to remember for all the wrong reasons. Celeste wasn't just another victim. She was a young black woman in danger, begging for help, imploring for safety in a system that rolled its eyes, shut its doors, and left her for dead. She did what survivors are told to do: speak up, report, try to get away. And in return, the Jackson, Mississippi Police Department, along with everyone else who could have intervened, told her without saying a word, "You're on your own." What happened in the final days of her life was beyond neglect. It was psychological warfare. It was state-sanctioned silence. And if you think it can't happen to someone you love, keep listening. Because what you're about to hear changes everything. Welcome to the American Crime Femicide channel. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future uploads. Celeste was born and raised in Lena, Mississippi to a hardworking mother named Wanda McCarter. She was the oldest of her siblings, and you'd best believe she wore that crown like a queen. She wasn't just a big sister, she was the third parent, the stand-in Santa, the therapist, the makeshift Uber driver, and the holiday committee chairperson all rolled into one. Thanksgiving, Christmas, birthdays, those weren't just calendar events in the McCarter household. They were full-blown celebrations curated and energized by Celeste. She cooked, played, planned, hugged, and cheered. She wasn't the life of the party. She was the reason the party existed. After graduating high school, Celeste didn't take the gap year route. She dove headfirst into higher education, starting at East Central Community College in 2014 before transferring to Mississippi College. Her dream? To become an OB-GYN doctor, a bringer of life. She wanted to deliver babies, help women, and make a real impact in her community. But that wasn't her only ambition. Celeste had another dream, one that raised eyebrows and broke molds. In 2014, teenage Celeste fearlessly declared on Facebook, "I really want to be a stripper. I want my name to be called Dark Chocolate. I'm serious, so if you got something bad to say, you better keep it to your damn self." This wasn't a phase. This wasn't a joke. This was a declaration of freedom. And by 2019, she was doing both, acing classes and dancing in a club. She was making money, owning her body, and refusing to shrink for anyone. A future doctor by day and dark chocolate by night. If that offends you, congratulations. You're not her target audience. But in that club, amid the lights and smoke, Celeste crossed paths with a predator who had no business being anywhere near women, let alone vulnerable ones. 33-year-old Ryan Christopher Hopkins. Hopkins wasn't misunderstood. He wasn't reformed. He wasn't a good man with a complicated past. He was a career predator wrapped in poor hygiene and parole violations. In 2008, he was convicted of third-degree sexual abuse and willful injury. The victim, a woman he beat, raped, and choked during what was initially a consensual meeting. He admitted to the sex, but denied the abuse, as if consent is a punch card you can redeem for violence. And the judge? Oh, the judge. He gave a masterclass in victim blaming. Each of your hands are dirty. When I read this pre-sentence investigation, you exotic dancer/victim certainly went to the hotel for inappropriate reasons, and you acted inappropriately, and things got out of hand, but they shouldn't have gotten out of hand to the point where you were beat, raped. And I do not hold to the theory that just because you are who you were, you should have been beaten and raped. Translation: you were asking for it, but not that much. Hopkins served a few years behind bars. He got out and immediately launched his personal redemption tour on Facebook. He posted videos of himself working construction, giving advice no one asked for, and pretending to be the kind of man your mama warned you about, but less charming and more felonious.
Ladies, let me put you up on a little free game. Men are so easy to please that it frustrates y'all. It doesn't take much to make us happy. All you gotta do is find that one thing that we enjoy. It's usually one, maybe two things that we enjoy. And all you gotta do is do the fuck out of it. And I swear to God, you can get away with murder with everything else. But see, if you don't do them one or two things, that's when they start cheating on you. That's when they start stepping out on you. That's when they start ignoring your wants, your feelings, and everything else. Because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. See, a lot of people say men are complicated. Men are never complicated. We never been complicated. It's always been women that's complicated. Man, we're 1 + 1 = 2.
At night, he crept back into his comfort zone, strip clubs. But he wasn't there to support sex workers. He was there to objectify, record without consent, and creep like a grease stain on vinyl. Celeste didn't see it. She saw an older man with jokes, style, and what she thought was a protective presence. What she didn't see was a time bomb with a long fuse and a history of exploding on women. Enter Yolanda Torns, 46 years old, middle-aged, lonely, emotionally famished, and so painfully desperate for male attention that even a sex offender looked like Prince Charming. By day, she worked in healthcare. By night, she moonlighted as a delusional loyalist to a man who wouldn't even have passed a background check at Walmart. Yolanda wasn't just dating Ryan. She was co-signing his dysfunction with every ignored red flag and every willful blind eye. Celeste eventually found out about the affair. She tried to cut things off. But Ryan didn't do rejection. Not from women. Not after sex. Not ever. On March 23, 2019, Celeste confided in her friend George Campbell that she had been raped by Ryan. George didn't brush her off. He didn't ask what she was wearing. He drove her straight to the Jackson Police Department, where she filed a report and completed a rape kit at the University of Mississippi Medical Center. And what did Jackson PD do? Roll out the red carpet? No, they blinked, yawned, and said, just another rape. According to her uncle, they acted like it was just another rape incident. And that's all Celeste was to them, a line on a report. A name on a stack of ignored paperwork. Meanwhile, Ryan began texting Celeste, playing the remorseful father card. I have a daughter, he said. I don't want to go back to jail. But Celeste stood firm. She was done. The report was filed. The kit was processed. And she made it clear she wasn't backing down. So Ryan did what cowards like him always do. He made sure that if he couldn't silence her with fear, he'd silence her permanently. On March 31, 2019, Ryan and Yolanda got in the car and drove to Scott County. According to Yolanda's later confession, the plan was crystal clear before they even arrived. They were going to kill Celeste. This wasn't impulsive. This wasn't heat of the moment. This was cold calculated and agreed upon like a grocery list. They pulled up to Celeste's grandmother's house. Witnesses saw Celeste get into a car with Ryan and an unidentified woman. That was the last time anyone saw her alive. Yolanda told investigators they drove Celeste back to Ryan's home in Jackson. There, Ryan raped her again because death wasn't enough. Meanwhile, Yolanda left to go buy bleach, detergent, and plastic wrap. The murder cleanup all special. When she returned, Ryan was strangling Celeste. Then he slit her throat. Then Yolanda did it too. One woman, two killers, zero conscience. They wrapped Celeste in plastic, stuffed her into the car, and drove to Louisiana. Somewhere along the highway, they found a ditch, tossed her in, and covered her with bricks like she was nothing more than a mistake they needed to bury. And then, because apparently sociopathy runs on a tight schedule, they got married. Yes, married, that same day. They killed her, dumped her, and got hitched. Why? So they couldn't be compelled to testify against each other in court. A murder followed by a wedding, Mississippi, eat your heart out. On April 1st, Celeste's family filed a missing persons report. Her body was found later that day. On April 3rd, Ryan and Yolanda were arrested and charged with first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. But don't think the system suddenly grew a spine. Hopkins sat in jail for a year. Then came the insult to injury. Judge Faye Peterson set his bond at $50,000 and released him on house arrest because the indictment hadn't been filed in time. And when it was, no one served it until April 2021. Why? Because the company responsible for his ankle monitor went out of business. Yes, a killer roamed free because his GPS bracelet company filed bankruptcy. So for 9 glorious months, Ryan lived like a free man. And what did he do? Exactly what you'd expect. In August 2022, he kidnapped a woman from Arkansas and drove her cross-country in his truck. He beat her. He raped her. He choked her so hard she needed a towel to breathe. He stole her phone and trapped her in his cab like it was a prison on wheels. She finally escaped at a gas station in New Hampshire and called police. Her phone? Dumped in a ditch, because of course it was. He was indicted again, this time for kidnapping, aggravated sexual assault, and criminal threatening. And yet, he landed a 2-year plea deal. Because apparently, if you stack your felonies high enough, they cancel each other out. In January 2024, Hopkins was finally brought back to Mississippi. Yolanda divorced him and cut a deal to testify against him. She got 40 years, with 15 suspended. That's 25 years for slashing a young woman's throat after helping plan her murder. On May 14, 2025, after 6 years of delays, denials, and dysfunction, Ryan was found guilty and sentenced to life without parole, plus 20 more years for conspiracy. District Attorney Jody Owens called it what it was. Celeste's death was planned, executed, and followed by a wedding. That is evil. Celeste's family hasn't spoken publicly, and honestly, who could blame them? When the system drags its feet while your daughter lies in a ditch, silence speaks louder than any press release ever could. Celeste had dreams bigger than the small town she came from. She was the oldest sibling in a tight-knit family, a natural caretaker with a bright, nurturing spirit. Holidays, birthdays, and everyday moments were brighter with her in them. But Celeste didn't just bring joy, she brought drive. She was in college, working hard to become an OB-GYN, determined to bring life into the world and care for women like herself. She was also bold, unapologetically herself. She took ownership of her choices, even the ones people didn't understand. While she danced in clubs at night to support herself, she earned straight A's by day. She didn't live by anyone else's rules. She made her own. But what she never expected was that her independence, her ambition, and her light would make her a target. When McDonald was sexually assaulted by a man with a violent past, she didn't stay silent. She went to the police. She got a rape kit. She followed every step survivors are told to take. And still, she was dismissed, ignored, failed. Less than 2 weeks later, that same man, along with his girlfriend, murdered her. They lured her into a car, raped her, strangled her, and slit her throat. Then they got married, sealing their silence with vows, as if her life meant nothing. Celeste was doing everything right. She was trying to become someone, a doctor, a protector, a success story. But instead, she became a statistic. A young black woman who cried out for help and was met with indifference. Her murder wasn't random, it was preventable, and it should never be forgotten. May Celeste McDonald rest in peace.